We are starting our show off today with Dr. Jill Gildea. She's a superintendent at Park City Schools. She's going to discuss the Ready to Return program to get kids safely back to school starting in just a few weeks. Dr. Gildea, thanks for joining us this morning.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
So there's been a lot of talk about how kids can get back safely, if that's a possibility. I was on a Zoom call last night with the Park City Education Foundation where there were, I believe, over 430 individuals on that call to hear all about this readiness program. And I wanted to start with the ultimate goal that you stated yesterday is that having kids back in school safely for instruction, that's the goal, correct?
Correct. The state has asked all of the school districts across Utah to have a readiness to return plan. And that's certainly what we are working on at Park City Schools.
So you've broken it up into three parts, which is academics, safety, and wellness for the students. But before I dig into some of these options, I know that the school district has basically two options right now, which is going back for more of a traditional 5-day-a-week learning model, and the other model is remote learning. Those are the two things that parents can initially choose from before we start the school year.
Absolutely. And today, once our servers are back up, that message will be sent out to our families. And the default is, of course, in person, just like a regular school year. And we are ready with enhanced hygiene protocols and good education for our parents and community on what we can do to stay healthy. Obviously, a lot of distancing teaching for the kids when they do come back so that they understand the rationale for some of these shifts and changes, and a lot of additional, sanitizing and doing great air quality, ventilation, all kinds of things to keep the learning environment moving. But the default is definitely in person. However, a parent may opt in to begin the year, either a quarter or a trimester, depending on the age of the student, with remote learning. And then that election can change each marking term. So about 2 weeks before the marking term's over, we'll send out emails to see if we are ready to return to in-person with that family, or if they are enjoying the remote experience and might continue with that. So we do have both of those options available for our families.
And I know that Dr. Amy Hunt has been the one who's really been focusing on these academic options. But if you could just briefly explain, remote learning isn't what it looked like when we were sent home, when students were sent home back in March. That's not remote learning. So maybe just describe the difference.
Absolutely. So when all the schools across the nation closed right around March 13th, we very quickly pivoted, and really I could not be more proud of our entire staff for the work that they did. But that was truly remote emergency teaching. What could we do just to reinforce concepts and ideas? And we all had to learn how to do that together. Since that time, of course, we've analyzed what worked, what did not work. We've heard feedback from parents on things that helped or were not so helpful for their learner, and we've made some adjustments. So the remote learning is still an asynchronous model, meaning that you don't have full live stream capability. However, we have outfitted our classrooms this summer. Not every classroom, but a good portion of classrooms do have enhanced audio amplification as well as some video capability, so that when a teacher is delivering his or her lesson, they can press an amplification button or record button on their microphone, and we can get a snippet of what that lesson is that can be uploaded to the cloud. And then when the teacher uploads their lessons for the day, a family or a student can log in later and hear and see those key points. So you can because it's recorded, you can watch them multiple times, help get some reinforcement. There will be a little bit more of a schedule for our remote learners, and that will pretty much parallel what a school day looks like in person. So there will be check-ins, a morning meeting, there will be an afternoon meeting with the teacher on this type of call, a FaceTime or a Zoom or a Google Meets type of face-to-face. with the other kids in the room also logged on so they can visually see one another. We know that the kids really enjoy interaction, even if it is remote. And then we'll proceed through the day that way. Work is submitted electronically, and then the teacher reviews it and provides some feedback for the kids, just like they would in a classroom. So those are some of the elements. And with the secondary kids, obviously it becomes easier because they're very well versed in having their own device. They are used to Canvas, the learning management system. And we have over 40% of our kids take at least one online class in the secondary years anyway. So we've had a nice, robust online model for our secondary kids pre-pandemic. So we feel like that opportunity and option for our secondary kids really helps them to define and design what type of schedule is going to work best for them in these current times.
And for families that choose to send their students back to school, you also talked quite a bit about safety, about disinfectant protocols, about bathrooms having as much touchless as possible. There's really quite a lot that has gone into planning to keep things as safe as possible. Students will wear masks, and there's a lot that has been researched that you're planning on having available to keep kids safe and hopefully reduce the spread of the virus.
Absolutely. That is certainly everybody's goal in planning for a safe return to school. And those protocols are well researched, and not just in the US, but we've really looked at different global models, what has been working and what has been challenging in different countries. And we looked at all kinds of schedules and looked at really the pros and cons of all of those. But definitely the cleaning, the sanitizing, the disinfectant, the additional person per school to continuously wipe down, frequently touch surfaces, the different barriers like plexiglass, different things to just try to mitigate, sneeze guards, different things like that. But yes, the district has taken right from about February 27th, right when we knew this was emerging as a health crisis, we really started a deep dive into research and planning. We did a lot of procurement early so that we do have both cleaning supplies, our wipes, our sanitizers, our our personal protective equipment. So we do have gaiters that the kids will be getting as part of a welcome back kit so that they can wear a Park City Miners gaiter, which we know in ski season will be probably really popular. But we'll also have disposable child, youth, and adult size masks at the buses, as well as in school if somebody forgets or doesn't have a face covering with them. So we have lots of different ways to ensure that we are doing all that we can to mitigate the spread of this virus and other contagious illnesses as well.
There's been many questions about if a student gets sick, does the whole class have to quarantine? If a teacher gets sick, but there's a pamphlet that the Utah Health Department is coming out with, a booklet that will be available. It's not available yet, but it will answer a lot of these more complex questions.
Absolutely. What we appreciate with anything like this, a statewide protocol is really helpful because that way we know that we're all on point with how we're addressing this. And this booklet is about 46 pages, but lots of white space, but it will address, what to do if a student, teacher, or employee is exposed or tests positive for COVID-19 and how to best make a healthy learning environment and protect our school operations. So it has scenarios outlined in there. It has best practices. It has the different forms we would look at for symptom checking, as well as for notification of families if someone were to test positive. And it is statewide an isolate and mitigate strategy. So we try to isolate anybody who may be having some symptoms, and by sending them home, anyone who is sick, that's part of the readiness framework, anyone who has symptoms or isn't feeling well really should stay home until they assess or have a health provider go through screening with them. And then that will, we believe that will help, that will be, those will be the things that we can do reasonably, legitimately, safely. We do have a nurse in every school who will be well trained in what the symptoms look like. I think what we have to all remember is there are a lot of asymptomatic carriers of this virus. That is why the mask, the face coverings really are a strong mitigation strategy. The other thing to know is we're working in close proximity with our county health department, our head nurse, Carolyn Rose, Richard Bullo. They will, I'm going to ask them to please tour our schools with us before our kids return to make sure we have absolutely everything that we can in place, whether it comes to distance in the seating, talk with them about our different filters and airflow plans. Obviously, open windows when weather permits will be a big part of this strategy, getting kids outside. Anything that we can do to keep them safe and learning in our community, in our environment, and getting them back to a sense of normalcy, which I think will help all of us get through this together.
And Dr. Ben Belknap, he also discussed how student wellness is going to be a top priority, meaning the mental health of the student and any behavior issue. Things that are coming up are going to be treated from a different lens this year, and they're prepared, the district is prepared to be able to bring in outside providers if that is needed. But what I think really struck me the most is that it sounds like we all know this is such a fluid situation. We don't know what things are going to look like in another few weeks with COVID cases and such within our county. But it sounds like, and please correct me if I'm wrong, but the school district is willing to work with each individual family to find a solution that works and that we're comfortable with.
Absolutely. I think that's a benefit of our size of our district and also the responsiveness that we do have. So while it sounds binary when you first read it, in person or remote, we are not taking away any of the options that we've had previously. There are certainly some limitations that we will have, like, for instance, if there's an incoming kindergarten parent who really would appreciate the child having a half-day experience, as long as they're available to come and pick up their student midday, they can certainly do that, because in the kindergarten program, the morning is the academics and the afternoon is more of the art and the music and STEM and coding and things like that. So if the parents wish just to have that academic part, certainly they can do that. With the secondary kids, as I mentioned, they've always had the chance to do the Utah Students Connect courses, and they can certainly continue on and do that. For our K-5 model, a unique aspect is that it will be Park City curriculum, Park City teachers who are delivering that remote program. It is not a procured or curated program. It's actually our curriculum, and the teachers and the remote plan will be pacing along with the in-person teachers. So that way, at the end of a quarter or the end of a trimester, if a parent would like to send the child back to school, they should not miss a beat. They should be able to join right in with what the other kids are doing. So part of what the silver lining is in this is it's really helping to have us look at our strong instructional framework, curriculum, and keeping kids at the ready.
Well, Dr. Jill Gildea, thank you so much for spending time with us here on Park City Television to explain what this back-to-school readiness program looks like. I know that we will continue this conversation leading up to school. Parents are encouraged to head to the school district online. The website will have more information. You're also going to be sending out FAQs and other ways that concerned parents can find the answers they need. There's also an email that parents can send their questions to. So again, we really appreciate the school district and their efforts and their time put in to help kids return safely or find an educational model that will work during this tough time. All right, thanks again to Dr. Jill Gildea. More coming up. We'll be back right after this.